Let's bring in criminal defense attorney and host of True Crime Daily Sidebar podcast, Josh Ritter. Josh, always love having you on to break down these stories for us. As Kelsey just laid out, they were tried by two separate juries, but both were found guilty on 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. So do you expect that they will both receive the exact same sentencing?
I think that they will, and I think that an indication of that is that they're being sentenced on the same day. I think that the judge is viewing their conduct, even though it was different, same in degree. I mean, each of them behaved a little bit differently, but I think that together they were both equally negligent in the way that they handled all of this, criminally negligent in the way that they handled their son and should have taken actions. And so I think the judge will view them and sentence them to similar sentences.
Yeah, I know you've also shared because it would cause a real perception of miscarriage of justice if they got different sentencing. However, I did want to ask you this, though, because James Crumbley reportedly has been hurling profanities at the Oakland County prosecutor over jailhouse phone calls, calling her names, verbally abusing and threatening her. His attorney says he wasn't physically threatening her and that James was just venting. Would he get more time because of that, Josh?
I doubt it. I mean, listen, I don't think the judge is going to view it very kindly, but at the same time, I do agree that, it's understandable his frustration. He's in prison. He's looking at further prison time. Clients, many times in speaking to their attorneys, are going to vent their feelings about this. I don't think any of the statements that were made went to the point of actually trying to follow through on some of these threats. So again, I don't think the judge is going to look at it kindly, but I don't think the judge is going to further punish him just based upon those statements.
Yeah, definitely not words prosecutors and judges haven't heard before. Josh, judges often rely on precedent, to determine sentencing, but this case is a first of its kind. Never before have parents been held accountable for a deadly school shooting committed by their child. So how heavy does that weigh on a judge, knowing that their ruling will really be a benchmark for future cases?
Excellent point. Many times judges go back and look at how was this kind of conduct treated in the past. There's nothing like that for the judge to go back to in this case. And the judge, I think, has to realize that any sentence that is given here is going to be something that's looked at across the country by other folks and by other prosecutors' offices who may be thinking of making the same types of charges. So I think the judge, unfortunately, usually a judge, you want them to concentrate just on the facts and the case in front of them. I think this judge does have to consider how this will be perceived by the public at large. When coming to the sentence, we have the prosecution, not surprisingly, asking for something on the higher end. You have their attorneys asking for something on the lower end. But interestingly, their attorneys, though they do kind of give lip service to the idea of their clients being released and put on some sort of house arrest, they're conceding that perhaps even further custody time would be appropriate. So I think what you might see is the judge splitting the baby to some extent, maybe going towards that higher end to send a message. But I would be surprised if it was not something that included further custody time in prison.
And Josh, you bring up the public. As you know, this case has garnered so much national attention, and the parents' convictions in today's sentencings are unprecedented. What's the message parents everywhere should be taking from this case?
Really interesting question. And the problem with it is I think that parents, though they realize that they're now on notice, that the conduct of their children, independent conduct of their children, they can be held responsible for. It's hard for them to understand a clear line of what that conduct is. Obviously, this case has said this conduct is bad. This conduct is on the far end of what is not going to be acceptable by law enforcement. But where is that line drawn? Usually that's the kind of thing we're looking for in criminal cases, is where is the line so that people understand what types of conduct are not acceptable. And here, I don't know if you can distinctly draw a line like that. I think the one point that may stand out for a takeaway from parents is that when you're dealing with a child who's exhibiting this kind of extreme mental distress, certainly introducing a weapon into the situation is not something that will be tolerated.
Exactly. Yeah.
Purchasing that weapon and not securing that weapon.
Yeah, there were a lot of red flags here and tragedies that could have been avoided. Josh Ritter, thanks so much. A precedent has now been set for families and parents across the country. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.